Hey guys, I put a poll in the community tab a couple days ago asking for your thoughts on when the book of Revelation was written. When did John write that? And, I ask that because the world teaches that it was written toward the very end of the first century. 95 AD is the date I hear from the world, right? And the reason that's taught by the world is because the narrative of the world about a future Armageddon, a future physical second coming of Christ, all the wars, everything you read about in Revelation, the world says that's future, okay? So they need that to be future. So they need that to have been written after AD 70 in order for it to not have already happened, because everything in the book of Revelation really describes the buildup to AD 70 and the war between the Jews and the Romans from 66 to 70 AD, when then Jerusalem and the temple were completely destroyed in the end of the Jewish age. Christ permanently ended the Jewish age. So the world has to have Revelation written after that and not before that in order for the world's narrative to be true. But it's interesting because there are so many things that we could talk about in Revelation that make it obvious what it's about and who it's about. But one of the ones that I thought I would mention that I think is incredible proof that it had to be written early, before AD 70, is in chapter 2, where Christ tells John about what to write to the church at Ephesus. And right away there, he talks about Christ likes the fact that that church had been testing those who claimed to be apostles and found that they weren't, that they were a liar, that they weren't apostles. Well, if you just think about that, the timing of that, right? For somebody to claim they were an apostle of Jesus Christ, they'd have to have fit the criteria laid out in Acts chapter 1, okay? Meaning they had to be chosen specifically, and they had to be with Christ from the baptism of John the Baptist all the way through and witness his resurrection. Says it right there in Acts 1. So, well, what everybody says about it being in 95, that it was written in 95, is, well, John was the only living, he was the only apostle still alive. All of them had been killed as either before or as part of the AD 70 war. Well, then it doesn't make any sense that someone would be claiming to be an apostle in 95 or at that late date of writing, okay? Because the office of the apostle, with the exception of John, had closed. They were all dead. The only time frame it would have made sense to claim to be an apostle would have been before they were all dead, okay? So if in the chapter 2, Christ is saying, hey, I like, to the church of Ephesus, I like that you've been testing these false apostles and finding them to be liars. Just think about when that had to be. It had to be when the office of the apostle was still in effect, when it was still happening, which was in that time period between Christ's ascension, resurrection, ascension, and when he permanently ended the Old Testament and destroyed all that in AD 70. So nobody would have been claiming to be an apostle in 95 AD. If they were, it would have made no sense at all. Like you would have just laughed. But I want to fast forward also to what that means today, right? So there's multiple denominations that claim to have apostles of Jesus Christ today. And that's laughable to me, in that you can't meet those requirements. In Acts chapter 1, there's nobody here today who was with Christ during his ministry, from the time of the baptism all the way through till and witness his resurrection. It's just shocking that anybody would claim to be an apostle of Christ. That's a total abomination to him. All right, guys, look forward to your thoughts on all this.